Have you ever wondered if you can mix Jesus and fighting together? Right? It has to be go hard and tap someone, but you can't be a Christian. And you think Christ has to be very soft and not to some degree violent or aggressive. Well, we're going to teach you how we built a Christ-centered Jiu-Jitsu academy. And before we start, this is Hernando.
I'm Amanda.
And we're Jiu-Jitsu black belts here in Post Falls, Idaho. And we're going to show you how we went from a competition-based school to a self-defense environment and where we are today. I first started my training back in July of 2007, back in LA, Sherman Oaks, California. And I ended up getting my blue belt and then my purple belt. And then Gracie came into town back in 2009 and started training under Gracie, started competing, and some very big names in the sport, Romulo Barral, Felipe Pena, and so on. And it was a fantastic time. I actually opened a school back in November of 2012 in Mission Hills, California. And it was awesome. It was great. I learned a lot, trained hard, got to compete, get some medals, and it was fantastic. But for me, I was missing something. No matter how much medals, how much training, relationships, I was missing Christ. And it wasn't until I was brought down on my knees and I gave my life to Jesus where everything turned around. My jiu-jitsu grew, it was fantastic, and then I ended up not owning the school anymore and got kicked out basically for where I was training at as well. But it was cool because it led me to John Jock, and I trained under John Jock, and I trained until this was back in 2016. I trained under John Jock Machado, as you guys know. It's a big name in Tarzana, California. And then a little bit before we moved, I was honored and I got promoted to black belt under John Jock Machado. But before then, around 2015, I gave my life to Jesus, and about maybe 6-8 months later, I met Amanda. Yeah, and we talk about that.
Yeah, and for me, my story was I trained for about 4 years before we started talking. So I started in 2012 and training up here, well, in this Spokane area and Spokane, Washington. And the schools were great. I mean, it was awesome. But the reality was I was looking for self-defense when I first started. I didn't really know the difference between like competition and self-defense. And what I found was competition. And so it was very, grind it out, kill or be killed. I got to win kind of mentality. And so that was what I had trained for 4 years. And then Hernando and I started talking February of 2016, got married September of 2016, and now I'm at Jean-Jacques Machado's Academy. And different style, right? Much more technical, much more self-defense focused. We'd still have good hard rounds, but it was different. And then, 6 months before COVID hit, God called us to leave LA and move back to the area that I had originally come from. And we found ourselves opening up or taking over a school for a friend of ours. And I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we bought the school back in January of 2020. Helped build it prior from September of 2019 to about December of 2019. But then we ended up buying the school in January of 2020. And then, as you guys know, March of 2020, COVID happened, and we're all in.
Just 2 weeks, guys. Just 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and we'll open back up. Every 2 weeks, same story.
And for me, I left LA, left everything behind to come to, what God wanted us to do is start a jiu-jitsu academy out here. And it was crazy. And I was like, God, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I can't give up now. It was tough times because we couldn't teach jiu-jitsu. We had to do jiu-jitsu online, which is a whole different thing. And we went all in, and
we were doing some fitness programs too. I was working out every day, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Had 80 ladies online doing the fitness challenge with us. So God provided, but it was rough.
Yeah. And so one day I was reading, I think this was April of 2020. I was reading scripture on the talents. I'm gonna probably butcher it, but one one person received 5 talents, and then God gave him 5 more. And then the other scripture, God gave another person 3 talents, and he got 3 more. And one of them got 1 talent, but was afraid of the master, and he hid it. And then when the master came to collect, he gave it to him and was afraid to invest the money, basically. And the master told him, well, we could have at least put it in the bank and collected interest. So during that time, I was, we were only like 15 minutes away from Post Falls, Idaho, because we were in Spokane Valley, and then there was the border right between Washington and Post Falls.
In Idaho, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, in Idaho. So I really thought, like, what if we go open a place month to month just so that the guys can train? Because we had some students, we had some kids, we had some students. I shared it with my students. They all said they were down. So we applied for one of those PPP loans. We got denied because we just opened, but we got a $3,000 advance. And we thought that it'd be safe just to put that money into a bank account and not spend it. So we left the money, bank account, $3,000, and it was under the savings account, and we didn't even touch it, because we were still trying to pay rent during COVID, and we were selling online memberships for kids and adults. And then so we prayed about it, and we got denied for the loan. And I asked, like, what are we going to do, like, with this $3,000 advance? I forgot who it was on the phone. I think it was, government. I don't know who it was, but it was somebody that gave us that loan, and they said, just keep it. Cool. So we found this location here. Just right now, it's currently 8,000 square feet, but there was just 3,000 square feet available. And what was the deposit? $3,000. So we literally put $3,000 down as a security deposit for this, where we're sitting right now. And then from there, we opened up shop in May of 2016. I mean, this place was like, right now it's white walls, it's really nice, but it was like orange and yellow. It was just, it was nasty, but we were very grateful for what we have. And then from there, we just started picking up. People started driving from Washington, other places that were shut down, and we just started kind of growing from there. So,
and I think it's important to note, guys, the entire time, God was at the center of all of this. When he told us to, first of all, telling us to get married, right? Telling us to leave LA and come here 6 months before COVID hit, telling us to open up the school, telling us to move over to Idaho, providing the $3,000. God was at the center of it all. And we have one tip for you guys that you're going to catch at the end of this video that's going to allow you to put Christ at the center of your jiu-jitsu journey. So make sure to watch all the way to the end to get that tip, because you're going to be able to apply it immediately starting today.
Absolutely. So as we started growing, the one thing we had an original name that we first started the academy, but then afterward we were like, we want to give God the glory, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here, right? I mean, finances were tight. It was the middle of COVID, and we actually started picking up here as soon as we opened. So we called ourselves Alpha Jiu-Jitsu and Fitness. I would teach jiu-jitsu on one side, and Amanda would teach fitness on the
I'm
other
only
side.
laughing because we've had some people be like, oh, they think they're so alpha. That's why they named themselves Alpha. And we're like, no, not at all. Like, we named ourselves Alpha because he's the Alpha and the Omega. But, sometimes people want to, like, create stories and narratives in their brain. But, yeah, just funny.
So we just kept growing. We had our jiu-jitsu program. She had a fitness program just on the all in this one mat. And then next door, one of the tenants ended up moving because he was having his shop built. So we took over that one. That was another 2,800 square feet of December of 2020.
Yeah.
That was a risk, but we prayed about it. A lot of wise counsel on that, so we did it. And it just kept blowing up. We put mats in there.
That was a whole fitness program over there, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then around, I think it was April of I don't know, maybe April of 21.
Yeah, 21.
21. There's another 1,800 square feet, which is now our lobby. And in a future video, you'll just be able to, we'll give you guys a tour. He ended up leaving, and that became our lobby now. And we ended up putting showers in there and changing rooms. So it's fantastic. So we kept blowing up, doing really well, and we come from a competition background. I would compete a lot, she would compete a lot, but what we found is, especially for us, we felt like God wanted us to make disciples and lead people to Jesus, that the competition aspect was kind of pushing people away.
Yeah.
right? And the old saying is jiu-jitsu's for everyone. But we felt like our style of jiu-jitsu competition and using other, no-gi, aggressiveness was kind of pushing the ones that actually needed jiu-jitsu the most.
Yeah, and here's the reality. It's like our mission statement was, we're a Christ-centered training environment where all are welcome. And we tried our best to really make that the case. But the reality is, when you are training for a competition, I'm sorry, naturally there's a selfishness there because you want to win. You want to win, and where do you train to win? On the mat with the people that may or may not be training for competition. In fact, probably most schools, even if they're quote unquote competition schools, maybe 10, 20, maybe 30% tops actually gets out there and competes on a regular basis. Most people are there to just train and have fun. They don't actually want to compete. And so what would happen is you'd get the quote unquote the real jiu-jitsu people, which is not true, but there's this mindset, and they're out there working with all the other people that honestly just want to train. They just want to have fun. They don't want to get hurt. They want to go home to their wives. They want to be able to go to work the next day. And as much as you're trying to make it Christ-centered, there is a root of selfishness that is at place when you're in a competitive environment. Right or wrong, that's my opinion. You can fight me. But that's my opinion because I lived it, and that's what I saw. As much as I didn't want that in me, when I came out of that and I looked back, that's exactly what was in me.
Yeah, so from a business standpoint for us, we just found that, we had like 9,000 leads, and people walked in, a bunch of waivers, and we noticed that we were not even at the 300 mark. We're currently around like 330 right now of filming this. But we were not there. Maybe like
of member count, yeah.
Member count, yeah. But we found it's like, where are all the white belts? Why is it that they don't make it past a month or two? And there's a small percentage that actually make it and get their blue belt, purple belt, and beyond. And after a lot of prayer, and we've also had some culture issues here too from students and other coaches. And at the end of the day, it comes down to me because I didn't even know what I wanted, So I trained under John Jock, under Hamalaba Hall. I would fly a couple times to go see John Danaher in Austin. I went before he went to New York one time. So different styles, different like lineages. And what I found is like I was trying to like just get a blend of all of it because that's all I knew at the time and put it together. But the reality is, like, why did I even start jiu-jitsu in the first place? The reality, when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was very confused. I was only 140 pounds, very timid. I wanted to defend myself. I was going through a divorce, and my ex-wife's husband was threatening me. Boyfriend at the time was threatening me and wanted to fight me and all this stuff. And so I wanted to defend myself and have some confidence, and I gave up on everything in life. But jiu-jitsu, I did not. So it helped me build confidence, and I was getting my butt kicked for the first 6 months, but I don't think the average person can withstand that beating for so long. Right? The average person wants to defend themselves, but they don't want to get hurt. Right? The average parent brings their child to jiu-jitsu not for a tournament, but to build discipline, confidence, how to stand up to bullies.
The average parent doesn't want to sit there and watch their child get pummeled every single class and cry. Like, I'm sorry, the average parent doesn't want to see that. Maybe some parents that are living vicariously through their children, they're like, you're going to be a warrior even though I'm eating chips and sitting on the couch. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? But the average parent, they want their kid to be able to defend themselves. They want their kid to have confidence, but they also want their kid to be emotionally safe, right?
Yeah, so a lot of culture, conflicts, students getting hurt right away, white belt, common injury, the rib injuries, stuff like that. And
ankles, knees, yeah.
And then one time just spending time in prayer again, I try to do it every morning, but this specific time I said, Lord, what do you want me to do? And then an Instagram ad came up of the CTC program, the Gracie Jiu Jitsu Certified Training Center program. And so I reached out to someone that's currently at a CTC, a Certified Training Center, and I asked him, is this legit? And this person specifically, Joel, he has a CTC in Canada, Toronto, and he has a good amount of members, very successful too, MMA fighter too, and he said, yeah, it's legit. So shortly after, I reached out to Henry Gracie, and I spoke to him, and with his energy, and he got me, convinced me, because it was what I was looking for. I was looking for a structured curriculum for beginners.
Yeah, and you know, like you talked about earlier, right? So many people say, "Oh, jiu-jitsu is for everyone." It should be. It should be for everyone, but sometimes jiu-jitsu, pure jiu-jitsu is taken and it's twisted and it's no longer for everyone, right? When you're in an environment where people are going super hard and there's high level techniques that require a lot of athleticism, that's not for everyone. When we say jiu-jitsu is for everyone, we are talking about, we have somebody who's almost 70 years old training on the mats with us. We have ladies that are training on the mat with us that could never go and train in a competition environment. This is what we always wanted. We wanted jiu-jitsu that was for everyone. And that's the roots of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. That's the self-defense aspect. And that was a big reason why we switched, because God called us. He gave us a mandate about 3 years ago, and he said that he's called us to equip and prepare the saints for battle, both spiritually and physically. And what we were doing before was not going to allow the saints to be prepared for battle physically.
There's this false sense of being able to defend yourself in a sport jiu-jitsu setting.
Yeah.
Now, some people can.
Sure.
And I'm just going to speak for myself as a first degree black belt. If I was in someone's guard and someone throwing punches at me, can I close the distance? Absolutely. But all you need is that 1 or 2 punches to get through and you're knocked out, which was a very scary moment until I started going through Gracie Combatives. And I felt confident to be able to defend myself. You know, can I defend myself before? Yeah, I think I would. Right? But when punches are involved in a street fight, your jiu-jitsu starts to go out the window when you start getting punched.
Yeah.
Right? So that is why we felt we needed to switch. And we wanted to also empower our students too, if they're blue belts, purple belts, to be able to defend themselves on the street in case something were to go down. So
yeah, you know, there's a difference between sport. Sport's fun. We still mess around with it in here, but there's not a false perception that I'm going to do X guard on the streets. Like, you know what I mean? And so understanding what makes sense, and distance management. That's a huge part of self-defense that really doesn't get talked about in competition, because nobody's going to strike you in competition. You know, and let's talk a little bit about, you know, keeping it Christ-centered and how we had to change the culture, right? So what we had to do to change the culture was we had to start removing people that no longer fit the culture and did not want to adhere to our new culture, right? And that might sound harsh, but the reality is, if you are trying to change something for the good and you have people in your organization, in your family, in your life, whether you have a jiu-jitsu school or not, and they are bringing you down, you have to cut the cancer. You have to cut it out. And it's going to hurt. There's going to be some scars. There's going to be some wounds from cutting out that cancer, but it will heal and that cancer will not spread. But if you keep the cancer, what do you think happens? And the reality is, we had to make some tough calls and we had to remove some people and allow some people to leave so that we could have a clean culture. And our culture is phenomenal now. We have 330 students. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's happy. Injuries are pretty much non-existent. If something happens, it's like super freak accident. You could walk down the street and roll your ankle. Everybody feels safe. Everybody has a lot of fun. And that allows us to keep it Christ-centered, right? Because if we have people in our school that aren't operating from a place of love first and foremost, then they're not representing Christ.
yeah, and you don't have to be a Christian to train here.
Right.
We just want to be
Principles,
right?
Yeah.
We want to be in an environment where people can try new moves and not be afraid of getting tapped.
Yeah.
Right? And roll with someone that if they grab you in a heel hook, that they're not going to rip it off, right? That there's this camaraderie of like and respect, like, hey, I'm not going to hurt you, you're not going to hurt me, let's just have fun.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that people work 9 to 5 jobs and they come in here, they don't want more stress. This is their, like, some people call it the temple, some people whatever, Zen, whatever. This is their place to relax and have fun and camaraderie and be with people that are like-minded, that want to grow, right? So where did that all have to start? That had to start with me, with us.
Yeah.
And for
Leadership.
me, right? So if I'm going to go the way I've always been rolling until up and recently I've been changing, I still change it and I'm not perfect. I'm still getting better at it.
Oh, wait. Are you about to give them their tip?
Oh, the tip. This is the tip.
You guys are about to get the tip.
This is how you can implement into your jiu-jitsu today. And you could also implement this in your school too if you're looking to, improve your product, is being able to shake hands and let the person take you down. Now, I don't mean like a floppy fish, but, like instead of fighting, you know what? If they got a good single leg, like, give some resistance, give some feedback, and then accept the position, right? Not only that, you won't hurt yourself and potentially hurt your knee if you did the wrong angle. Accept the position. Cool, now you're in my guard, right? And keep working with them. And instead of tapping them 20 times in a 5-minute round, maybe do it one time, but let it be beautiful, like the finesse behind jiu-jitsu, the flow. It was an amazing transition versus it being forced, right? So it's a different mindset because we're not training for tournaments, so we're not looking at the clock, last 10 seconds, I'm down by 2 points and I got to pass the guard, right? So I would say that's the tip as an instructor, maybe an assistant instructor, maybe you're a blue belt and you're rolling with a white belt. Let them pass your guard. Don't tell them that.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like, oh, yeah. I let you pass my guard. Like,
no, like really work on it. Let them pass. You'll build them up. You don't have to tell them. They're going to have that victory because they probably just got their butt kicked during the day in the office and chewed out, or probably have a difficult time at home, right? And they have challenges. Maybe they have some bills they got to pay. Maybe their account's overdrawn, but then they show up and like, man, I just passed that person's guard.
And can we be honest though? That's really hard to do if we're finding our validation from winning. That's really hard to do, right? So then if we think in our mind, oh wow, it's really hard for me to let somebody win and not make it clear that I let them win, because what if they start telling people they beat me? What if they start telling people they took down the blue belt? Then we have to stop and we have to say, where's my validation coming from? Because our validation can only come from one place, guys. Everything else is vanity.
All right. So that's the challenge. Who's willing to take that challenge?
Drop a fire emoji.
Right? Let them pass your guard. Right? Who's willing to do that right now? You don't have to own a jiu-jitsu school. You don't have to be a black belt. You could be like a 2-stripe white belt and you have the new person. Let them pass your guard. Let them set up the arm bar. Don't just give it to them if you trust them, right? Tap, it's okay. I've had my lower belts tap me. I don't really care because I'm trying to work certain escapes. I'm not going to tell them that. Start your matches from mount. That's something I learned from Gracie. Start from mount. Okay, let's go.
You being on the bottom.
Yes, not on top. Awesome. So if you like content like this, right, hit the like and subscribe button. We try to get more of this out to you guys. If you guys find value in this, please share as well too. We want to really give you guys some positive content to grow your jiu-jitsu, grow your faith, grow your marriage, right? So if you're in the area and you want to train as well, complete beginner, or if you've done jiu-jitsu and want to have a positive experience and not get hurt, no egos here, like how everyone says, but we actually try to live it, is ask about our 10-day free trial. The link for our website is in the comment in the show notes. So I'd love to have you. And yeah, if you have anything you want us to hear from us, see from us, like just comment right there and we try to respond to all of them. Cool?